Welcome to another Species Spotlight. Today's Species Spotlight is going to be about the Sierra parakeet. The Sierra parakeet is also known as the gray-hooded parakeet or the Amira parakeet. The Sierra parakeet is a species of parrot that belongs to the Psittacia family and is closely related to the mountain parakeet. Some say they resemble a miniature version of the Quaker parakeet. They are native to northwestern Argentina and central Bolivia. Their natural habitat is subtropical or tropical high-altitude shrubbery. The altitude range is between 6,000 to 13,000 feet. In the wild, they can be seen foraging while perching on low shrubbery. They will eat berries, fruits, leaf buds, plant particles, you're a silly guy, and even be found foraging on the ground for various grass seeds and fallen fruits or fallen seeds. Sierra parakeets are gregarious birds, which means they like to be in flocks, and they have been seen in the wild at about 20 birds per flock. When breeding in the wild, they breed from November to January in Argentina, and they will find holes in earth banks, they'll find holes in cactuses or deserted buildings or any kind of crevice. They can lay between 4 to 10 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. And the babies usually fledge between 5 to 6 weeks. In captivity, they can usually breed any time of the year because they're indoors. There's no, the outside environment isn't encouraging them to breed, unless you have a really elaborate breeding setup where you control the lighting, the atmosphere, like rain cycles and all that. But basically, if you have them in captivity, you can set them up for breeding anytime, but the best time is the spring or the fall. Sierra parakeets are a small and slender bird. They are about 8 inches in length and can weigh between 45 to 62 grams. They have a long pointed tail, short legs, and long toes. They have a blunted beak. Their body is green. They have a dark gray forehead, crown, back of head, nape, lores, and ear coverts. Their cheeks, throat, and upper breast are whitish gray. Their upper abdomen is pale bluish gray, and the lower abdomen is bluish green. Their thighs are yellowish green. The undersides of their tail is dusty green. Their beaks are horn colored. Their steer and feet are pinkish colored to gray. Their irises are brown. Males appear to be brighter in color than the females, and juvenile birds are duller in color. Now I want to introduce you to my Sierra parakeets. I have 2 of them, and one of them's right here. This is Nova. Nova is a male. He's 9 months old, and I adopted him from someone who couldn't keep him anymore. Now his flight feathers were already trimmed when I got him, so of course I'm letting them grow out because all my birds are fully flighted. And his tail is kind of like messed up because when they're clipped, they kind of land on their tail, and he falls a lot, which is sad, of course. But once his flight feathers come in, his tail will grow nicely, and he's going to molt, and he'll look really good. Hey, sweetie pie. So this is Nova. I named him Nova because in my previous video that I made, I was asking all of you as my viewers to help me name my new bird. And because my other bird is called Galaxy, Nova kind of, like a theme name kind of went together. Right, Nova, yay Nova. So this is Nova. There we go. And so my other Sierra parakeet is named Galaxy. Galaxy is going to be a year old in about 10 days. And I found out they're related. They're actually clutch mates, like from a different clutch, same parents, but hatched at the different times. So I'm kind of glad that they're both males, as if they were going to breed, I wouldn't want to breed clutch mates together. So anyways, they do love each other. They get along just fine. So both Galaxy and Nova, they were hand raised. Nova does step up on me, but because he can't fly, he just doesn't have the option to fly away from me. But Galaxy, he flies to me, he flies to my head and likes to play in my hair and, play on my shirt and eat my buttons and all that. And, they like to play. They're always on the go, so they don't really like to sit still very long, to be sitting, on your shoulder, on your finger too long. They're little, very active birds. So Sierra parakeets has pets. Wow, I love these little birds. They're fantastic little parrots. They are not very loud, and they're not screamers, but they do twitter a lot. They got these high-pitched little twitters. They sound like, to me, they sound like parrotlets, or they sound like barn swallows. And they're kind of like almost always noisy. They're always kind of making a constant warbling or twittering sound. They're very active and they're always on their go. They're always looking for something to do, something to hang off of, something to eat. And they're very flighty. They like to climb and they can even hang upside down. They are very bold little birds, like the parrotlet, and very similar in activity-wise to the parrotlet, and have a similar sized beak, but their beak is blunted. A parrotlet has a sharp, pointy beak, so even when they try to bite you, it doesn't really hurt. They can't really break the skin. Their beak, they're not very strong, but they do nip, they do pinch, but they won't really draw blood. At least mine hasn't, anyways. I find them to be little hilarious little characters, and they're really fun to watch as they're always doing something. They don't like to just sit there and sit there and preen and be pretty. They're always moving around, so they're really, entertaining to watch. They kind of wrestle, and they have like a love-hate relationship. One moment they love each other, the next moment they're squabbling. They don't really hurt each other, they just squabble. But other than that, they're always kind of stuck together, like Siamese twins, side by side, and they're just cuddling together. It's so beautiful to see. Now, biting wise, all birds, they can bite. But since their beak is blunted, they don't really hurt. But I find these birds so far to be really bitey and nippy. They're young, they're babies, and as a small bird, a lot of small birds, they want to act tough and act like a big bird. So they're just testing your patience. I'm sure they will outgrow this bitiness, but they're always kind of nipping away and just biting. They like to, bite my nails and bite my skin. But overall, they're not being totally vicious. They're just kind of nipping and testing out me, right? So hopefully they won't be nippy when they're more mature. For their diet, I feed them a chop with dark leafy greens. They love dark leafy greens, and they love fruit. And they like to have some millet and some spray oats. I make them a mixture of cockatiel seed with a lot of canary seed. They love canary seeds and parakeet seeds. I just mix it together. And they also eat some pellets. They're actually really good eaters, similar to the parrotlet. They're always eating. They eat constantly, so they need a lot of food. If you're considering getting a Sierra parakeet, you have to feed them a lot. They just continuously eat. They must have a high metabolism because of their activity. They're always moving around, so they have to eat a lot. Their favorite foods seem to be apples, blueberries, dark leafy greens, safflower seeds, spray millet, and spray oats. They love to take a bath as well. They like to bathe in a dish of water, or one of those containers you put on the cage. You can put that on there, but since they got longer tails, it's better if they have a flat dish so they can fit into that, or like a water fountain. And chewing wise, they are big time chewers. They're always chewing, so they need a lot of soft wooden toys to chew on. The paper toys, they shred and shred and shred. They're little shredding monsters. But I haven't seen them try to destroy my house. I haven't seen them chewing the walls or their baseboards, but who knows, they might try. But I think their beaks aren't strong enough to chew baseboards, but you never know. As long as you provide them with a lot of chewing toys, and hopefully they won't be destructive to your house. I haven't seen any of that, actually. They just like to chew on the soft wooden toys and the paper toys. And they love to hold toys in their feet. It's really cute to watch. They use their feet a lot, even to eat. They require a large cage as they are very active and flighty. one that is wider than taller. And the bar spaces should be no wider than ½ inch, otherwise they can get their head stuck in there. But if you keep them in a cage, they should also be allowed to come out to fly for at least 3 hours a day. They really need that, or they're going to get very depressed. Now their drop-ins are small, like a Budgie's drop-ins. They're not huge and watery, and they can be easily wiped up. And my Sierras get along quite well with my other birds, all my other smaller birds. I have, Budgies, cockatiels, borks, linneys, lovebirds, some canaries, and they're pretty well get along with all the flock, but sometimes a little bit of squabble, but they're not like vicious birds. They kind of warn them away. My Sierra Parakeet Galaxy loves one of my cockatiels, and he follows him all over the place. But I find him switching, and then he'll like another bird. So he likes to hang out with certain birds. So if another bird comes close, he kind of chases them away. But there's no harm done, and my birds can just fly away. But I find they fit right in with the flock. So first I just had the one Sierra Parakeet Galaxy, and he got along with all my other birds. So he had company and friends and all that. But there's nothing better than 2 Sierra Parakeets. When I got Nova and introduced Nova to Galaxy, it was a beautiful sight. At first they bickered a little bit, but then they started preening each other. They played together, they ate together, they sleep together, and they just cuddle. So I recommend if you're thinking of getting a Sierra Parakeet, get 2 so they can keep each other company, especially when you're not home. So overall, I really like the Sierra Parakeet. So if you like little active parrots that are always on the go and always eating and always twittering away, the Sierra Parakeet might be right for you, but I recommend getting 2. It's so beautiful to see them together. 2 as a pair, they keep each other company and they're happier that way. So make sure you check out my Species Spotlight playlist. That way you can see what bird is good for you. I have many in my series. You can go have a look, and I talk about each species, and you can figure out what kind of bird you would like. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!